Hey everybody, this is Flavio Romeo, and on this episode of the Towncast, we had the chance to catch up with Adam Faatz, a local resident who, if you remember, he was on the podcast last year. He is preparing to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with one lung. He suffers from pulmonary fibrosis, and he's doing it to help raise awareness and raise money for various pulmonary fibrosis organizations around the world. And we also met with Dr. Jan Kasprowicz, who is one of his trainers, helping him prepare for this event. So enjoy the episode, everybody. All right, everybody, if you remember last year, we had the chance to meet with Adam Faatz as he was just starting out his quest to climb Kilimanjaro, which is a task in and of itself, but then doing it with one lung. And I'm here with one of his trainers, Jan, and I want to pronounce your name right. I wrote it down, and I've already forgotten it. Kasprowicz.
Very good.
Jan Kasprowicz. So we're going to talk to Jan, but first, Adam, thanks for coming back on.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, so a year ago, you said, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea of what that meant? Like
No. No. So I knew I wanted. So I did Mount Marcy in December of 2021.
What's the elevation
of Kilimanjaro?
of Marcy?
It's under 10,000.
Okay.
But it's New York's tallest peak.
Yeah.
But we did it one day. It was a 5-hour drive there, 33-mile hike, and then a 5-hour drive back. So it was a pretty long day, but it was easy. You know, I was like, and I wanted to do that. Brought a lot of attention to the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. I mean, I was in a magazine, and because of it, I think I ended up. I think I reached $185,000 in donations.
Wow.
Just for that, and then between them, marketing it and everything. So.
And all of that money goes to the pulmonary.
Straight to the foundation. Yeah, I don't see zero. I see zero.
Yeah, which impressed me the first time that we met. And for you guys that didn't see or listen to the original podcast, you were in the military, as a veteran.
Yep.
You experienced burn pit issues.
Yep.
And so tell me that whole process, briefly, what happened when you got back.
So I started developing. So it's tricky. We don't know for sure. My first lung issue was in December of 2006. I was in boot camp for 22 weeks, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was going through boot camp with 2 collapsed lungs, and that was 22 weeks long. And I had no idea, that wasn't discovered until...
Temporary issue.
Yeah, so that wasn't show... We didn't know that until 2019, but I had been exposed to burn pits in Iraq. At the time, there was a lot of things that the burn pits don't cause health issues, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as what has led to my lung disease and the pulmonary fibrosis, it's really not known.
Yeah.
We know I have an autoimmune...
Burn pits didn't help.
Burn pits definitely didn't help. The environment in general in the Middle East, the silica dust, that doesn't help. The old ammunitions, which some of them consist of depleted uranium, that doesn't help. There's a million factors at play.
And just so everybody knows what a burn pit is, it's just this couple of mile hole that you just throw everything into.
Right. So the burn pit where I was, so the base I was on, specifically in Maysan province of Iraq, southern Iraq, the base was a mile around. It was a very small little outpost, and the burn pit was probably 2 football fields in length.
2 football fields.
2 football fields, and I think it was going probably 18 hours a day, almost every day.
And you just throw everything in it, and then
everything.
How do you ignite it? Like, what do you use?
JP8 jet fuel.
Jet fuel.
Jet fuel. Yeah.
Well, that's got to be healthy.
Yeah.
What color was the smoke?
As black as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, as black as you can see. I mean, there was a couple times where it had gone so bad we actually had to sleep with gas masks on because the smoke was. Yeah, it got bad. So I don't know what led to the pulmonary fibrosis. We know I've had it since at least 2009, but it wasn't discovered until 2018 which was kind of an accident.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, I had gone in for what was believed to be a lung cancer biopsy of nodules in the left lung, and then it turned into a very surprising reveal when the whole lung was actually just scar tissue. And so the decision was made then to it's not working anyway. There's pain when you breathe on that side. Just take it. Doesn't work anyway.
So you have one lung.
So I have a little bit of the upper lobe left. So essentially, if you factor in with the disease progression in the right side, I like to say I have about 3/4 of a normal respiratory system.
Right.
It's fair estimate.
and he's going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Mount Kilimanjaro. What's the altitude in Kilimanjaro?
So Mount Kilimanjaro is the world's tallest freestanding mountain. It is at the summit. It's 19,341 feet.
19th. And what is the air, like the thinness of the air? Like how much? Because as you get higher,
right,
it gets thinner and thinner.
So Kilimanjaro. So about 30,000 people attempt Kilimanjaro annually. But only I think, or I'm sorry, 70% fail.
70%.
70% of 30,000 fail to summit.
Wow. So there's about less than 1,000 people that make it.
Yeah, so it's not a high number.
Of the 30,000.
Yeah,
and that's with 2 good lungs.
Yeah, correct. So a lot of people try it. Not a lot of people make it. It's because Kilimanjaro is unique in the aspect of it's not a technical mountain, which is why so many people go to it. There's no ropes and ladders, and you don't need these big spikes for ice like you see on Mount Everest.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people they misunderstand. They don't, and I'm guilty of this. They don't really know what they're getting themselves into at the time when they decide to do it, because that was me. And I just figured I could walk up this mountain, and that wasn't the case by any means. But it's very unique in the fact that it has 5 ecosystems. So you're going to go through jungle habitat, alpine desert, regular desert, and then Arctic. It's pretty much all the ecosystems of the world are on this mountain.
And you've got to pack for all that. I mean, you could start out in shorts, but as you get up higher, you've got to bring all that with you.
Right. So I'm going to be doing it in January. There's really no telling how the weather's going to be, so that you don't really know how the air quality is going to be. I know during the summer season out there, it's very humid, so it's probably a drier air quality, a little more dusty. But Kilimanjaro, a lot of people, they start suffering from acute mountain sickness, which is a very dangerous situation at around anywhere between 6,000 and 8,000 feet is when most people start suffering from it.
Really?
On Kilimanjaro, yeah.
But you didn't experience any of that on Marcy?
No.
It's a completely different climate.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing the 9-day route. It's called Limosho. So I'm going to be on Kilimanjaro for 9 days. And a part of that is because of the acclimation period.
Right.
We want to give my guides, world-renowned guides, they want me to slowly acclimate. And they also are going to have other guests. And so they want a success rate, So the other people as well need to acclimate, but me in particular.
Yeah.
So that's a big factor. The weather, you don't know what the weather's going to be. There's no way to predict it.
Yeah.
On summit night, that's a 24-hour day. We leave Camp 4 for the summit at midnight on night 8. And then it takes about 12 hours to get to the summit. It's a 4,000-foot elevation gain, but it takes 12 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
And you don't know, it could be
negative
blizzards,
40.
it could be, you don't know.
Yeah, so it could actually be negative 40 on the summit, or it could be 20 degrees Fahrenheit. What I didn't know and I find to be really cool is there's actually a very large glacier on top of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Really?
Because of how extreme the weather is.
Really?
There's actually a glacier. Yeah, I didn't know that. And that's where our water source is going to be coming from. The glacier melt running down the mountain.
And now I know that one of the reasons why it was pushed out to January is you're going to have a film crew that's coming with you.
Right. So this gentleman named Chandler, based out of Florida, he runs a company called Modus Photo. He's going to be there, as well as Emerald Coast Magazine. So they're going to be on the trip, and they're going to be documenting the entire 9-day trip.
Wow. Are they going to be documenting it like same day that people will be able to go on their Instagram page, or it's just all going to be videotaped and then
it'll be videotaped, I'm sure, and then probably edited.
Nice.
I know they're working on getting some sort of internet access along certain areas of the mountain.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have it while I'm there or not.
Yeah, because I definitely want people to keep track of you. So you could find Adam. You could find him on Instagram. You could find him on Facebook. And I know that you're raising money again for the pulmonary fibrosis. Touch on that a little bit.
Right.
It's not just pulmonary fibrosis here in America.
Correct. Yeah, correct. So I'm doing this just to raise awareness and to kind of be a patient advocate and a leader for, not only pulmonary fibrosis, but other chronic health issues in general.
Yeah.
Because I understand it. I don't just suffer from pulmonary fibrosis. I have the back issues and disc issues and the autoimmune diseases. I get it all.
Days I see
I get it
surgery
all.
that you come out of.
So it's, I want to be, because I'm in a unique situation to where I can do this. It's not that I necessarily want to do this, but I can. And so why not?
Yeah.
But so the fundraiser, I'm trying to raise as much money as possible. And then it's going to be split among 3 different organizations. The Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation, which is globally the largest foundation for the disease. They're the ones who do all the grant researches. They're the ones who go to Congress and testify for you and stuff like that. Nice. So that's going to cover the United States, South Central America, and Canada, and globally in other ways too. And then Action for Pulmonary Fibrosis, which is a UK-based nonprofit. That's going to cover the UK, Scotland, Wales, Ireland.
Wow.
And then the Asthma and Respiratory Center in New Zealand, which is going to cover New Zealand, Bali, I think Samoa, and Australia. Wow. And so however much money I get, there's going to be an equal split amongst the 3 organizations.
So you got to have a lot of people cheering you on.
Exactly. So I'm hoping to, because I want to make this a global thing, not just a regional,
absolutely. People are affected around the world.
Exactly.
So now I have to ask you, Dr. Jan, so when Adam first came walking in and said, this is what I'm going to do, what was your first impression of?
I think I like hiking as well. I have a mountain in my backyard, which is only about 1.5 miles up and 1.5 miles down. So when I got the message from Adam, I'm like, all right, let me see what Adam's all about. We hopped on a call, and I've been doing this for about 25 years. So basically, I've seen a whole bunch. I've worked with a lot of pro athletes, everybody from soup to nuts. I've seen a lot of different kind of athletes and regular people as well. But you could just tell people that some people are just surviving and getting by through life. And even though Adam's got some health conditions going on and he's behind the black ball with a couple things, he's one of the people who are actually living life. So when I meet people like this, I'm like, yeah, what can I do to help? So it's like,
you could tell just from the first
yeah, exactly. So it's like and that's one of the things I try to attract people into my life is basically I want to help people because that's what we're here for. We're here to help our fellow man and woman. But it's like, all right, this person needs some of my assistance. There's things that I can do and donate my time and my skill set to help him achieve what he wants to do. And it wasn't just the fact. And then when I met Adam, I was like, oh boy, we're gonna have some work to do. Because he's got 19,000 feet. I've worked with other people who climbed mountains as well.
Oh, you have? So this is not new to you?
Well, not hiking, but cycling. They cycle up big mountains.
Wow.
So I kind of understand the ideas. And I knew of another person, Gilles, who Adam's also working with. I introduced him to, who's a respiratory specialist, who's also an ultra marathoner, and he's working with a client who's trying to climb Mount Everest. I'm like, we need to put a team together to get him there. So my goal is for Adam to get there. My primary goal is to get Adam there safely, there and also safely home. So that's my primary goal now. But my real goal for Adam is to drop 50 pounds, get as healthy as he possibly can, because after Kilimanjaro, he's going to want to do other things. So besides climbing,
you can feel that already, right?
But that's the thing. It's like the mountain climbing he can do, but I know if he just drops 50 pounds, we fix a couple other things, get him to be his best version of himself. Yeah, he's going to have cystic fibrosis, but he's going to be able to basically control a lot of those variables.
Right.
Just through basically changing a couple things he eats, doing a couple exercises, and where we're focusing on Adam a lot is we do adaptive contrast therapy, so he's going to be pedaling on a bike, breathing in 85% oxygen, which is super oxygenated air, because the room we're in right now is only 20% oxygen. But then I have...
Is that right?
Yeah, and then I have him on a bike, riding with doing intervals, intense intervals, breathing in 10% oxygen, which is the equivalent to 12,000 feet elevation.
Wow.
So this way we could get his body to adapt to what we're doing. And when we start doing this adaptive contrast, it's called live O2. After we start doing this, we just keep changing the intervals, so this way he doesn't know what to expect. His body's going to understand I'm getting less oxygen, but we might make things, instead of sprinting for 30 seconds, we might make him sprint for 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, 10 seconds on, to adjust. And then what we're also focusing on is core stability. So he needs a lot of strength in core muscles, because he's a big, strong guy. So that's not the problem. But the thing is, when you're doing something, when you're climbing 19,000 feet over 9 days, your muscles are going to get tired. And when your muscles fatigue, and this isn't just for Adam, but for everybody, when your muscles fatigue, then what's going to happen is your core's got to kick in to create that stability. But if your core doesn't kick in and create that stability because it's fatigued, that's when you start having shoulder issues, neck issues, low back issues. So we want to make sure his core is super strong. So it's not about lifting heavy weights. In the first session we lifted no weights at all. It was all core stuff, and Adam was exhausted.
He told me.
Because it's but that's the thing. If your core kicks in and you have a solid core, upper back, your obliques, your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, then you have something to build off of. Because if your core breaks down really quick, well, you're going to be stuck on Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I could see Adam doing very well with this.
Well, and I remember when we first met, he didn't know anybody. He had no idea.
Nothing.
He just looked up some stuff online. Didn't know any gear to get. And I appreciate what you said, is putting a team together, because you need that. I mean, not just for someone that has one lung, for anybody that wants to take on a task like that they've never taken on.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Give me a little bit about your history. I know. We talked about lifestyle transitioning.
Okay, so basically, I've been a chiropractor for 23 years. I have my own chiropractic story. I was a junior in high school. I came down with a really bad bronchitis, like debilitating. I couldn't stop coughing. I couldn't play sports because I just literally couldn't breathe. So I actually had a lung issue, a respiratory issue myself. I went to every medical doctor there was. They were just giving me injections, giving me penicillin. Nothing was helping. I lost 30 pounds of muscle, and I was an athletic guy. And then it's like my English teacher, who I had a crush on, called up my mom, and she's like, listen, Jan's kind of disturbing the class every day because he's coughing nonstop. So I was like, and she's like, why don't you take...
How long did this last?
6 months.
6 months of
6
just
months.
constant coughing, and they couldn't figure it out.
The only thing that would stop me from coughing was drinking Ocean Spray cranberry juice, because it was thick, it was viscous, it was kind of it would coat my throat, and I'd stop for a couple minutes. It helped me build some abs, because I couldn't eat and I was coughing all the time, which is an ab workout, but that's regardless. But what happened was, her name was Belinda Canarazzi, so she told my mom to just go have your son see this chiropractor. I had no idea what he does. So I went there for 2 visits. I went there on a Monday and on a Thursday. He spent a couple minutes, he did an exam, spent a couple minutes with me, and only adjusted one bone in my neck. That was it. And I was like, that's it? So then literally after that second adjustment, I got my appetite back. Okay, everything got back, and I was 16 at the time. That was my story. And I'll be honest.
Did it stop your coughing?
I haven't been to a medical doctor since I was 16. And I had COVID. It lasted 3 hours. I have my regular body temperature is, it's supposed to be 98.6, but mine's usually hovering around like 97.4, 97.5. I knew I had COVID because my blood pressure, my temperature went up to like 98, which is not really a fever, but I'm like, something's off.
You could feel it.
And I could feel it. But I'm not saying chiropractic fixes everything, because I also exercise a lot. I do a lot of meditation. I do all these other things. So I went to chiropractic school with this great idea of helping all these people. Then I left chiropractic school, and I was like, started working for the doctors, and I noticed that this is all business. Everything's a business model. Everybody comes in 3 times a week for chiropractic and also for physical therapy. Why does everybody get the same treatment plan? So I was in the game for 6 years, and I'm like, I can't play this game. So then I went to a seminar conducted by another chiropractor named Rick Rosa, who was working with Tour de France cyclists. And he was like the recovery doc, the original recovery doc. And I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do. So I looked into biohacking, they call it. I call it biooptimization. And I was basically experimenting on myself. What could I do on myself to get me to achieve my goals? And I do a lot of long distance cycling. I was a triathlete, a duathlete. Then I found out that I really don't like running. So I guess I'm just going to stick with cycling. I don't like
Well,
running.
that's the one thing we have in common.
No, I'll run to the bathroom.
Yeah.
But I don't like running. So then I was, not that I'm against chiropractic or physical therapy, but it's like my biggest thing is that I'm not concerned with money, but I'm concerned with time. It's like you can't get time back. So when you ask a patient or a client to come in 3 times a week, when you know you could get them better in just 2 visits, and then they're coming in 3 times a week for 4 weeks just so that you can make some money, compared to trying to get somebody better in 2 visits so you could save them time and save them money, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, get them better quicker.
Get them better. So I always get the question, like, do you take insurance? I'm like, no, I don't take insurance anymore because my clients, my patients get better in 1 to 2 visits. Adam's a little bit different. We started with once a week, but I'm like, you know what, we should really do 2 times a week. So this way we can focus on more things. So I'm not the only one doing this. There's other doctors out there as well. There's medical doctors doing this too. Perfect example is a doctor out there. His name is Dr. Peter Attia, who I listen to frequently. He's a medical doctor who practices what we call medicine 3.0. So medicine 2.0 is what's going on now. Just give you some drugs, just stop the symptoms. Then once you get the side effects, we'll give you drugs to cut off those side effects. Then when you get side effects from those drugs, we'll give you some more drugs.
Just never ending.
And then your never-ending drugs. Then you get kidney failure. And then the marginal decade, those last 10 years of your life are horrendous.
Yeah.
So Dr. Attia's point of view is this. We train for a Centurion Olympics. So people are like, what is that? It's like, figure like, what do you want to do when you're 100 years old? There's no reason why you can't live to 100. Things might happen, but you could live to 88, 90 years old. How do you want to live those last 10 years? Do you want to live like up to 65? Because average lifespan is 78. But the thing is, the people retire at 65, but it's been shown that health span, how long you're healthy for, is only 68.2
Really?
years. So those other 16 years, you're going to be sick. But people don't understand that. Look, perfect example, I have a friend who's a truck driver, and I told him, like, listen, you're overweight, you're pre-diabetic, you have metabolic disease, you don't do any exercise, you're going to retire at 65, but the average life expectancy of a truck driver is 15 years less.
Wow.
Yeah, so you're looking at 63.
Is that because they're just constantly sitting?
They're constantly sitting, they're stressed out, they're basically not moving.
Yeah.
And my wife is another example. She used to be very fit, but now she's in front of a computer 12 to 13 hours a day. And then we started running some blood work. I'm not the guy to say, I told you so, but I'd be like, please do this, please do that, do this. She wasn't doing anything because she couldn't, because she was stressed out. She had to do all this work. And then she started seeing her doctors and getting some blood work back and some other tests. It's like, how is this person who's 44 years old, very healthy, eats very clean, is now going down metabolic disease?
Wow.
Or I have a dentist who comes in, looks rather healthy, but is now pre-diabetic. How are you pre-diabetic when you're healthy? You're doing a little bit of exercise, but they're basically not doing everything they need to do.
Right.
So that's how I'm a lifestyle transition coach. So basically, I don't help with addiction, but I do help with people who are living an unhealthy lifestyle or sedentary and get them to be more active.
Right. Well, and extend their life. I mean, try to
It's
add
not
more
about
years on.
not about extending
Healthy,
your
extend
lifespan, your
healthy.
health span.
Yeah, health
So
span.
my goal is, I want to live to 88 and just drop dead. If I have a bad day or two, that's fine. But
Right.
it's like I saw my relatives go through a lot of suffering. My grandfather had a lot of surgeries because he had surgeries. The grafts didn't take, then he had infections. So he had 30-odd surgeries the last probably 15 years of his life. My father had a heart attack at the age of 50. He's still alive. Transitioned his lifestyle too. I don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. Well, and you have a website, so if people want to check out...
Yeah, I have a website. It's chiropracticandsportsrecovery.com, but I'm also on Instagram at Dr. Jan EPT.
EPT.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put it right down here so you guys can see it. So now you've got, what is it, about 5 months left
Yep.
to work with this guy. And I know in the last year you've already lost a bunch of weight.
So I didn't realize it till yesterday, and that's when I texted him, and I'm like, wow, yeah, I didn't realize it. So we've been working together, not for a very, very long time.
Maybe a month.
Yeah, like full time, maybe a month, and I dropped, what was it, the 4% body fat?
Yeah.
So in a month I dropped 4% body fat, and I gained 7 pounds of muscle.
And that's the key with what Adam's doing. He cannot lose any muscle.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
when the proverbial poop hits the fan, and we've all heard stories of people, they do hiking and something happens unexpected, which is a great thing about Adam is because he's already looked. I saw on your on one of your social media pages that you took like mountain medicine.
Yeah.
So this way, in case something happens. So that's the other variable you need to control as well. If something happens, and let's say he drops 50 pounds, which we don't want him to do before his trip, but 25 would be great. We don't want him losing muscle. Because if he loses muscle and then he's on this mountain and some catastrophic event happens, we need as much nutrition on his body, which is muscle, protein, and body fat that he could use for fuel to get off the mountain.
Right.
So I had a friend named Jared who was a powerlifting coach who almost died over the holidays, and he had some autoimmune disease attack his body. He literally almost died a couple times, and his doctor said the only reason that you did not die because we couldn't feed you for 45 days.
Wow.
45 days, but because he had so much muscle mass, and he wasn't a big guy.
So his body was just feeding off
He
itself.
might have been a little bit more muscular, much stronger than me, but more muscular than me. His body was able to eat itself to that point. But if you're at a point where you're not exercising and you really don't have that much muscle, well, it's that much more difficult. So the key with Adam is he's got to retain as much muscle as he can, preferably not even lose anything, just drop his excess stored fuel that he has. And he's kicking butt.
Yeah. I love it. So I didn't going back to it, I didn't realize last year when we did the podcast, I don't remember exactly, I think I was 376 pounds almost. And I knew a lot of it was because of medications I had been on, and I needed to change that immediately because I saw that it was just, it
wreaks havoc with your body.
Yeah, 7 months I gained almost 80 pounds. It was bad, and it's crazy because I was working out. Not working out to the extent I am now, but I was hiking every day. It made no sense. So I realized yesterday that since July of last year to today, I've lost almost 115 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and just in the last month alone, I've dropped 4% body fat. So, yeah, and it's not hard. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not hard. He's got a program that, the first day when I came in, I'll be completely honest, I was a little intimidated by it because I'm like, wow, this is going to kind of suck. I don't want to do this, these fad diets, and that's not what it's about. It's not a calorie deficit diet. It's not avoid carbs at all costs type thing. It's eat healthy. I'm gonna kind of guide you on what you should be eating, but eat as much of it as you want as long as it's this kind of stuff.
Right.
Chicken breast and broccoli. That's my go-to.
Yeah, it's not
thin sliced chicken
diets.
breast.
Yeah, you're eating.
I can eat
you got to maintain your body.
and I can eat as much of it as I want.
Just eating the right things.
Exactly.
And it's amazing to me with all the diet books and all the diet programs and all the YouTube channels and everything else. It really boils down to pretty much that. Just put the right things in your mouth.
And sugar.
Yeah,
I had a bad sugar issue.
And that's the thing with sugar. There's no nutrients in the sugar, so that's why you continually eat sugar. Like when I was a kid, when I was like 10 years old, I'd stay home, watch Flipper, watch Gentleman, and basically eat a whole loaf of Wonder Bread. But it's like the reason why I can eat a whole loaf of Wonder Bread, there's no nutrition in it. There's no nutrients. So your brain's like, give me more, give me more, give me more. That's what sugar does. Give me more, give me more, give me more. But if you're eating protein, like if you're eating chicken and broccoli and some beans on the side, there's so much nutrients in there. Your brain's like, stop, I'm not hungry anymore. So as long as you're eating nutrient-dense food or even amino acids, like essential amino acids, if you start your day with like 6 little pills of amino acids, which is just protein, you notice you're not that hungry because your brain's like, wow, we got the nutrients, we're no longer hungry. So there is another mental component to it. Like some people go to food because they have cravings, But there's ways around cravings
Sure.
too. Like if you have sugar cravings, well then, go have a pickle. Go have something really robust that tastes really good. And then basically you're going to notice that you really don't have that sugar craving.
Yeah.
And Adam, I think the thing I was concerned with Adam was he was drinking Red Bull. So I drink coffee. I drink quadruple espressos. So that's my thing. But with like things like Red Bull, they give you energy, but there's all the caffeine in there too. So basically, and there's sugar in there as well, and all these other chemicals as well. So we try to wean him off that, so this way his body has its own fuel source.
Right.
Like I don't use the word body fat with any of my patients or clients because it has a bad stigma. It's just stored fuel. You need your body to get to a point where it can access that stored fuel and use that for fuel, rather than having to take in so much fuel with your food.
Right. Well, listen, Dr. Jan, look him up, see the type of programs that he does, and Adam Faatz. We're gonna put the ways that you can keep track of Adam, because it's an amazing story, and I'm really glad that you're gonna have it filmed.
Yeah,
I'm really
thank
glad
you.
that the story's gonna come out, because you think of, okay, you're climbing and they're gonna film you climbing, but it's those times when you're sitting, relaxing, resting, preparing
Right.
for the next climb.
Exactly.
Where you
You know.
really get to know you a little better.
Mhm, exactly.
So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. And hopefully we can get you back on just before you're ready to set sail.
Yeah, let's yeah.
Yeah?
That's no issue. Because I'm flying out of New Jersey, actually the first day of the New Year. I
Really?
leave.
New Year's
Yeah.
Day?
I'm flying to Qatar, and then I'm actually going to link up with an old buddy of mine from Hawaii, from the military. He lives
Really?
in Abu Dhabi. He's going to fly over. We're going to hang out for a couple hours on my layover, and then from there I fly right to JRO, which is Kilimanjaro International.
Wow. So let's try to get back together early December.
Yeah, of course.
All
yeah.
right, and we'll touch base with you.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, maybe
Yeah.
we'll touch base with you too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Adam.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, of course.
Listen, I wish you guys all the best. Yeah.
Thank you.
Clearly, you're in good hands.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right, make sure you track these guys. Make sure you follow Adam, and get to know Dr. Jan a little better. I mean, it's not brain surgery. Taking
No.
care of your body is not. It's
No.
not that difficult. It's just the will to want to do it.
His program is super simple. I'm gonna be honest. It's super simple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the desire to do it.
Mhm.
And then hopefully you'll reach out to Dr. Jan. If you have any questions, give him a call, shoot him an email, and he'll answer all your questions for you. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. All right. Be well, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.